Okay, in this video, we're tackling our refrigerator. Now, I've had, my daughter came down and stayed in the camper for about a month or so. Everything was working perfectly fine. We're getting some remodeling done in the house, and we'll be using the camper just as like extra workspace to get away from the noise and for the bathroom, because we're getting both of our bathrooms ripped out. But when I moved the camper out here, I noticed the fridge wasn't working. So I did some research and I found a problem that I thought was the problem. After doing some quick YouTube research here, this little diode right here was popped, and I'm not sure exactly what it's supposed to do, like a temperature diode or something to that nature that pops and breaks the connection, which eliminates the power to the refrigerator for, I'm guessing, a protective measure. So hoping that that was the only issue, I reset it, the fridge came on, started cooling, everything was good. But I'm out here troubleshooting, cleaning up the camper, and I was troubleshooting another issue I'm having with my water pump, and I smelled a strong smell of ammonia and coming out of this vent, and it's still that smell is still pretty prominent. So after doing some more research, I found that that's most likely a coolant leak. And from other YouTubers and people that I follow online, I've noticed that if something goes wrong with these units, if it's not these refrigerators, the Dometic refrigerators, they're so expensive to replace that the best thing to do, and I'll agree, is to remove it and replace it with a residential style. We don't do any camping we don't do any boondocking or anything that's going to require us to need the gas connectors. The gas feature to run the refrigerator, really. We do have a brand new generator that we got for the camper, so if we're going to do anything like that, we'll be able to run it off of the 120 volts. So my goal here is to get this pulled out and get a good measurement of what size I can replace it with. And there's 120 volt line that obviously just unplugged. I'll have my 12 volt connectors here. Just a simple little slot screwdriver. We'll remove that. We want to make sure to cap those so they don't short out and pop anything. And then my gas, which I'll have to pull out and cap. And then there's some mounting screws, one there, one right here. On the back side here, I think that's honestly the only mounting screws back here, and then some mounting screws inside, and the fridge will slide forward and into the camper. So my goal today is to go ahead and at least get this out of here, so I can get a good measurement and an idea of what can replace it. All right, so I've capped off the 12 volts. I've unplugged the 120. I've taken off the gas line. I will be getting a cap for this. The gas was turned off to the unit. And I've removed the two screws that I can see back here, which I believe are all the mounting hardware in the back. So let's go on inside. All right, on the inside here, I tried to take the doors off, which I took the screws out of the little hinges there, but I think it's screwed on from the outside too, so these hinges aren't coming off. So there was some foil tape, and there was a screw there and there at the top, and then two at the bottom in the corner. So I've got all four of those screws out. But I'm looking up here, and I noticed that the little metal piece that the screw was in is kind of wedged up. I probably want to get a screwdriver in there and pry that down a little bit, because if I start trying to pull this and force it, it's going to mess up the front of this wood here. So I'm going to pull that down on both sides just to make sure it doesn't catch the wood when I try to pull this out. All right, I was able to pull it straight forward, lean it down. I set it on a towel so I can slide it against my floor without scraping anything. But the smell of ammonia in here is just amazing. I got to get this thing out of here pretty quick. Hopefully it'll fit through that door, slide it out and get it out of here, and then we'll clean up this mess. And then we'll have a good idea for measurement for the replacement. All right, we got it out. Probably gonna take out this insulation because I won't need it anymore. I've got my power already there. Obviously the old refrigerator required 120 volts. So when we get the new one in, we just plug it in there. I'll probably get something this was the ventilation for the gas and the heat. We won't need that with this other one. So I don't know what we're gonna do there. Obviously I got the vent that goes on the outside, but maybe put a little something there so I don't have any loss of AC or anything. I got my vacuum cleaner. We're gonna clean this up real nice, and then we'll take some measurements. All right, I'm gonna try to do this best I can with one hand, but we have an opening of Hold on a second. There we go. A little bit easier this way. Looks like right on 24 inches. And then vertically, ouch, we have, it's like 53 and 3/4. If we're gonna knock out this top piece at all, we can go up to probably closer to 56 and 3/4 or so. And then a maximum depth of probably about 2 feet as well. So now it's time to do some research and see what kind of refrigerator we can find to fit in this hole. Preferably as much of this hole as possible. This way we won't have big gaps around that we have to worry about making look pretty. All right, we got this replacement refrigerator from Home Depot. It's a Visani, whatever that is, 7.2 cubic feet. It's a little bigger, a little taller than we needed. It is 56.25 inches tall at the highest part here, from the ground to this little hinge place here. But it's only 21.5, I think, wide. So we had 24 wide and we had 53.5 or something tall. So what I'm doing is I'm taking this top piece out. Instead of trying to cut it, I'm just gonna go ahead and remove it. And then I'm gonna remove this piece. There's a couple more screws holding it in here. And then we'll trim it out all the way around with some baseboard or something like that. So let me go and get this piece out and then we'll put the fridge in. All right, it is in place and I couldn't get a better fit, honestly. Once I took this top piece off, that's pretty damn close up here. It just barely clears that light. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a couple screws. I'm going to screw it in the back. I did have to get a little piece. I'll show you on the outside. A little piece of wood to prop up the backside, so it's flush with or the same level as the front of the cabinet. And instead of trying to center this and then put trim around the whole thing, I scooted it all the way over to one side, the side that the door's open like this. And now I'm going to try to find something that I can put here to hide this gap. Something that will allow the door to open. You can kind of see how it moves that way. And my initial idea was to have this thing sticking forward, sticking out, like the doors on the extended from the front of the cabinet. And this way I could put the trim right to the side of the refrigerator. However, the way the feet are on the front of this thing, it won't work. Like if I pull it forward, the weird thing is the front of this foot, the foot that holds the front corner here, will fall down. It doesn't sit on the thing. So we're just going to figure out how we can improvise this. All right, and down here on the outside, I think I'm going to just keep this open. This way it has the ability to vent, and then there's actually a vent obviously in the ceiling as well. So this thing will be able to vent any hot air that it has. It's plugged in right here. Here's that piece of wood that I just, I took this out from inside. It was one of the pieces that held the other refrigerator in. I shoved it under here to lift the back end of the fridge up a little bit to make it more level. And then I had to drill a couple pilot holes, and I screwed 3 screws through the back plate here into the camper so it won't move. And then we'll just put the cover back on. And like I said, the only thing we got to do now is find something to block off that area inside, just to make it look a little bit nicer. So this job only took me maybe a couple hours to do. The hardest thing was to fight this old one to get out of the door. And this camper was exactly 24 inches, and this thing was exactly 24 inches deep. So it took a little headache. It was a headache getting it out. The other one getting in is actually pretty easy. Once you got all the wood removed, it cost $300. That refrigerator cost $300. We had other issues with this refrigerator too, where I'm thinking it's pretty standard with these Dometics, depending on the ambient air or the outside, the refrigerator would freeze, or wouldn't, if you had too much in there, it would take too long. You open the door, it would raise the temperature. So having a residential style refrigerator in the camper is going to be a benefit. The only downfall is if you ever wanted to, run it off of propane, you were kind of, now you can't. It has to be hooked up to 120. So in our case, we have to either be plugged in or using the generator. So anyway, appreciate you guys liking. I hope this helps someone out there. And if you have any questions, leave in the comments. I'll put whatever links that I have to what we use. Honestly, down in the comment section, or in the description of the video. We have a website, rdrv.net. There you can find a lot of information about our site, what we do, where we're going, what we use on our camper, any projects, things like that. And then obviously like and subscribe. So we are planning, haven't booked it yet, but planning to go camping at Hillsborough River State Park again in a couple weeks for Busch Gardens Hollow Scream event. So that's probably going to be our next video coming out. So appreciate it. See you guys later.